In the concrete training, we used to provide formula to calculate all the weight of the material, such as cement, sand, coarse aggregate, fine aggregate, and water. When mixing the material, it is essential to mix the coarse aggregates and fine aggregate first, because the cements and sands cannot mix with other material entirely when they are at the bottom. After that, we put the cement and sands into the mixer. Finally, we add water to the mixers and start the mixers to make concrete. We do some tests to test the ability of this concrete. Before concrete casting, we used to check formwork and steel reinforcements according to drawings and requirements. After concrete casting, we must to minimize air contact in the concrete, so reduce air voids also to make the concrete dense, so better its performance. Therefore, compacting is important. In structural steelwork training, we just require to do measurement, cutting, and drawing connection by bolts. We are required to measure the suitable length of steel and cutting them. Then we draw two holes for connection by bolts to another steel structure. On the other hand, steel is commonly used as reinforcement. The functions of reinforcement in RC structure is to achieve better performance of the structure in resisting loading in cool tension, shear, and torsion. When doing connection of steel bar, we can overlap the bars using copper or welding, but the most common method is overlap the bars. In this session, we are required to tie the beam reinforcement. In formwork training, we are required to use plywood to make a small size I-column formwork. We measure the required dimension of plywood and use dimension circular saws to cut the plywood. It is essential for checking the dimension of the formwork should be accurate, because that will affect the appearance and the dimensions of concrete. Then we use hammer and connect by nails. Finally, the formwork was erect. In forcework and scaffolding training, we were required to erect two one-stop scaffold. We used the material provided to erect the scaffold as the provided drawing. First, we paste the screw paste on the corners and put the walk-through firm on the screw paste. Fix core space to flat lock on walk-through frame. Use double copper and swivel copper to fix scaffold pipe as standard ledger and bracing. Second, we fix ladder and platform. Finally, we can use straight drawn pipe to fix walk-through frame and adjustable head jacks. In brickwork and plastering training, we were required to lay a brick wall. When laying brick, we need to make the position first. Second, we place some cement mortar on the position and then lay the brick. Before laying the remaining brick, it is essential that measure the leveling. Moreover, we can use cutting machines to cut the brick into suitable shape. We are also required to learn plastering, wall tiling, and floor tiling. When doing wall tiling, we place cement paste both on the wall and the back of glazed mosaic tile, and then put the glazed mosaic tile on the wall. Also, we can use cutting machines to cut the tile into suitable shape. In NDT training, we are required to learn some non-destructive testing. First one is carbonation test. It is important to determine the total depth of concrete cover and the depth of carbonation in order to establish whether there is a significant depth of uncarbonated concrete to protect the reinforcement for the remainder of the design life of the structure. It is intended to measure the depth of the concrete carbonated layer near the surface of hardened concrete by using the pH indicator or phenolphthalein. The second one is with Brown hammer test. A spring load both impact on the hardened concrete surface and rebound on the extent which increase with the strength or elastic modulus of the concrete. Rebound hammer is the non-destructive techniques, can measure the hardness of the concrete. The first one is cover meter test. Electromagnetic cover meters can ensure concrete correct location and cover to reinforcement bar after concrete placement. The fourth one is half cell potential test. It is used to measure the relative coercion potentials between the reinforcements and concrete and identify the likelihood of coercion on a relative base. The fifth one is infrared thermographic test. It can be used to identify performance failure including heat leak to improve the efficiencies of cooling or heating air conditioning. Water pipe leakage detection. External wall debonding. In anchoring training, we are required to install some anchor. First one is torque controlled expansion anchor. For the installation of torque control expansion anchor, draw a hole on the concrete first, and then cleaning the draw hole. Secondly, we hammer torque control expansion anchor into the hole. Finally, we use torque wrench to apply required torque to the anchors. Second one is deformation controlled expansion anchor. For the installation of deformation controlled expansion anchor, draw a hole first and then cleaning the drawn hole. Secondly, we hammer deformation control expansion anchor into the hole with manual setting tool until the mark hammered in the concrete.